Next, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Pridelines faces Lady Bunny political comments over Harris. Lady Bunny, a renowned queer icon, is making headlines with her controversial this week's political statements as she prepares for Pridelines Queerfrono as a disco masquerade on August 17th. Lady Bunny has openly criticized Vice President Kamala Harris' presidential bid on social media, calling Harris and I quote, empty vessel for corporate interests, end quote, and questioning her authenticity. Her comments, particularly about Harris's shifting positions on issues like Medicare for all, have sparked backlash among LGBTQ+ communities and Democrats. As Lady Bunny gears up to be honored on August 17th, Executive Director of Pridelines, Dr. Edward Summers, has clarified the organization's position on the controversy. He said that the organization honors Lady Bunny for her contributions to the LGBTQ+ community, and it does not endorse her political views. It should be noted Bunny was selected long before her political comments. Pridelines is one of the South Florida's most important LGBTQ+ nonprofits and serves a vital role in serving queer youth in emergency housing, healthcare, mental health, and so many other issues. Hotspots Happening Out is a proud sponsor of Pridelines Gala and the support of the 11 pillars, including queer students and youth. Here to talk more about what is happening on Lady Bunny and the Pridelines Gala is the Executive Director of Pridelines, Dr. Edward Summers himself. Welcome, Edward.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yes, I do have a few questions for you, so let's go. Help our audience understand what's really happening here with Lady Bunny and the Pridelines Gala on Saturday.
Sure. So we have been planning our gala for over a year. We've had a committee that thought about various individuals that we can honor, and we decided Lady Bunny for her tremendous contributions to our community. This was over a year in the making prior to what just transpired 2 weeks ago. We have also selected the Miami Foundation, the Our Fund Foundation. We have the Girls Rock Club, which is near and dear to my heart. They're an amazing organization doing great work with young women, non-binary, and trans young girls in Miami. And we have an unsung hero, Michael Roma. So while, I know Lady Bunny has struck some controversies in our community, but this was a year in the making. It was before her comments, and it's really about individuals who have contributed and built up our community. And, we take the stance that, this is a democracy. This is exactly what Kamala Harris is actually fighting for. Our democracy, she talks about the freedom. In each one of her speeches, she talks about freedom and preserving freedom. And we fundamentally believe that this is Lady Bunny's freedom to express herself, even when there's dissent. And Kamala Harris, in most of her rallies lately, have challenged people and said, hey, you have a right. You have a right to say what you want to say. I'm going to respond, and I'm going to continue to say what I want to say. So in this case, I want to be clear. We respect Lady Bunny's right to express herself. We don't agree. We don't take a stand. We're a 501c3. We respect and honor her right to do so. It's just like your right to say what you want to say. It's like everybody around this table's right to speak, their truth and their passion, right? Who are we to say that you can't do that? It's okay to dissent. It's okay to not agree within the Democratic Party about our candidate. It's okay to do that. So, but this event, and I want to really turn it back to the real nature of this event, and I'm going to go a little personal here about Pridelines. We have had a major transition this year. We had Victor D.S. Herman, who was there for 15 plus years, who retired. Our building sold in Miami. We had we had staff who left the organization, to pursue their dreams because they thought it was an opportune time. This has been tremendous for us. We have tripled our budget in less than a year that I've been here. We've tripled our budget. We've announced that we're doing LGBTQ housing, which is pretty significant. And I think about the person that just died here on Miami Beach, To us, she was named Maggie, but to the world, she was named Andrea, who died a couple of months ago, She was one of our clients. We want to prevent that. We're working hard to prevent that would happen to Maggie. We just had a couple of weeks ago, another trans individual, who got beat up at the airport. And guess what? She's no longer here in Miami, but who's helping her? Pridelines. Her parents called Pridelines, although she's in Georgia right now. Her parents said, well, I'm not finding the help. Can you guys still help us? And we said, yes, we'll help you. We'll connect you with our therapist here. So we are on the front line. I want to make clear to our community here, because I've gotten threats to me, we've got threats to cancel on Pridelines because allowing Lady Bunny. This is much bigger than Lady Bunny. This is about what Pridelines means to South Florida. and
Right.
42 years of commitment to this community.
Right.
And we're not backing down now.
No.
We are still committed to our community. I'll tell you this weekend, I was supposed to go to Pride Fest this weekend, right? I couldn't go. I was dealing with Lady Bunny, but more importantly, guess what? I was dealing with 2 young people from South Florida who lost their housing this weekend because they were in a bad situation. And my team was all out at events, running around South Florida. We've been at almost every event there's possible that's been going on since I joined Pridelines, right? We've been very present, very visible. So instead, I stayed behind, right, to help these 2 young people. I'm the CEO of the organization, right?
Right.
But I stayed behind to do the direct service so my team could be out there, right?
Right.
So I really want to bring this attention back to the fact that this is celebrating an organization that is pivotal and core to our existence here in South Florida. So to all of those, I get it. I get that people are upset about her comments, that she is critiquing our presidential nominee for the Democratic Party, but it's her right to do so. And well, shame on us to say that she can't.
Right.
Shame on people to say you're honoring her because why are you honoring her despite what she's saying? Kamala Harris would probably agree that we should honor her based on her contributions. And I will say this, one last thing, and I'll let folks ask questions, is that we at Pridelines have been working with the Biden administration since April, right? We had Secretary Becerra here in June to kick off Pride Month. We were already working with Kamala Harris's office to get her to the gala prior to her becoming the nominee. So we haven't released it yet. We'll release it on Saturday. We have a letter from Kamala Harris to Pridelines, right, about what we mean to South Florida, what we mean to this country, right? When Secretary Becerra came here in June, you know what he said? He says, oh yeah, the president knows you guys. We talked about you guys at the cabinet. Talked about Pridelines in South Florida.
Right.
Come on, guys.
Well, you know, and I talked to you earlier today because when I saw this story, I knew I had to talk to you, but this whole cancel culture that we seem to have in our community, and it's like people want to cancel not supporting Pridelines versus let's talk about the person who made the comments. And as you said, completely has the right to her opinion. And she's only holding a political party accountable for something just like we do the other opposing political party. We really do. And it's okay to challenge those norms, and it's okay for people to have differences of opinions, right? But people who say cancel Pridelines or not go to the gala or whatever, it's like, were they ever supportive to begin with? And I don't think they were.
That's a really good question. So I've done some research. You know, we have great databases thanks to Victor leadership in the past. I've done some research on people who said, I used to support Pridelines and I'm no longer supporting them. I ran a name through the system and these people don't even support us.
Right.
So it's just like, but my thing is also, if Lady Bunny was that controversial to people prior to these comments, they should have said something to us back 4 or 5 months ago when we announced her, right?
Right.
Same people who are commenting now were liking the post. Liking the post. And I can see who reads our emails. They were reading the emails. So it's not like they didn't read emails and this is all new news to them. I think what sparked this, right, and I love John Hayden, but John Hayden came out with an article highlighting and pointing out Lady Bunny's critique of Kamala Harris. So, and he has a right to do so as well.
Right.
I commented on that, and I was hoping that my comment would be sufficient, but it clearly wasn't. But for me, I really want to go back to this. Pridelines do so much for the community.
Yep.
And more than I even discussed, right? Like, and to cancel us, shame on people.
Right.
Because this is about hurting our community. It's not about hurting me, Edward Summer, Dr. No, it's about hurting our community. People in need, people who need our services. And our new people who come to South Florida who want to find community.
Right.
They find it in Pridelines.
Yep.
So
Because she's just a small component of the evening.
it's a small component
Right.
of the
I mean,
evening.
it's not, she's not the main.
This is about celebrating.
Right, right.
We are one of the oldest social services LGBTQ social service organization in South Florida. One of the oldest in the country. We are within the top 5 oldest LGBTQ centers, community centers. So, like, come on, guys. Like,
The legacy.
we are.
Right.
So would you mentioned that she was, you mentioned her about 4 months ago, and you said, so no one criticized her back then, because she actually last December in the Advocate was criticizing both parties.
That's
so
right.
You'd think people only notice now all of a sudden,
Now.
which I find odd. Did any of them also notice that, like, when she did a tour recently, that actually she ended her tour in Fort Lauderdale to bring awareness and support to Hamburger Mary's, and how she does apparently a lot for South Florida?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we spoke to Bunny too, her biggest thing, and this is months ago, was about trans advocacy, right? And so we talked to her about, you know, the young lady who passed away, who was our client, and she says, you know, a lot of people who say so let's not say any more names anymore, and they host these vigils. She's like, what more? We should do more. We need to do more to support these communities to make sure that this doesn't happen. And we told her about, at that time, our housing project, which was not
public yet. And she was like, exactly, this is exactly what organizations should be doing, is providing these wraparound services. But she really talked about how she's using her platform to raise awareness around, like, in particular, trans issues, right? And gender and affirming care issues. And so she's using her platform to elevate and support issues that matter to our communities. And she's been doing it for a long time, you know? And that's exactly the reason why we decided to honor her, is because she's been elevating issues that impact us. And, you know, her recent critique of, listen, on a personal note, not in Pridelines, Bill, I love Kamala, right? Like, I think she's brought new energy to our political process. She's made this race much more competitive. But I do think, to your point, Vaughn, too, is that Lady Bunny is just asking critical questions that we've asked, as you said, of the other side. So that's all she's doing, is making sure that we're holding the Democratic Party accountable. She's asking critical questions. And I will note this. Today, the Harris campaign talked about policy and the lack thereof of not having bigger policy prescriptions out there. And they talked about how that this week they're going to be rolling it out, some policy prescriptions. So I would imagine that some of her critique has helped to elevate this issue with the campaign and to bring it to their attention, so that they're now bringing, some more elevated policy prescriptions out there.
Yeah.
And so I think she's bringing attention to some important issues. And so to cancel her based on these comments and to forget about what she's done for our community and what she will continue to do for our community is a shame. We shouldn't do that.
You make such a good point, because as a former party staffer, I assure you, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. If you're representing a marginalized group and you don't complain to the party, they're not going to know, unless you like really shout and make a big noise. So I think that's a great perspective that you've shown. It's been nice to see how much the Pride Line cares about free speech, because as you were saying earlier, with cancer, we don't see that enough in our community.
Listen, I've gotten so much pressure over this past weekend, and my family's in town. My son has been in town. Everybody knows my son has been in town all summer, so I've been enjoying him. My nephew and my rest of my family came down for gala, but I've received so many. My family's like, we don't take this in the Bronx. You should tell them how we really think. Listen, my mother was like, what? Come on. She's an old Cuban Norwegian black lady. She's like, oh, we don't take this. No. But, listen, we do believe in protecting that fundamental right. And I'm a student of political science and a therapist as well. And I've listened really intently and read really intently what Kamala Harris has been saying, and what strikes me, right? And what I get jazzed about is this message of freedom that she talks about. And then in her speeches lately, she talks about we the people, and it's up to the people.
Right.
She makes that point 3 times. She repeats herself. It's up to the people, you the people, right? So how can we then go for and sort of limit somebody's fundamental rights, right? This is a part of democracy. This is a part of
I'd be careful about telling Lady Bunny that she's going to get credit for hair.
Right.
Her head will swell so much, the wig will pop.
And I should say this too, right? And I'm very passionate about this, because it means a lot to me. Pridelines means a lot to me, because I see what we do on a daily basis and I hear the stories. But Lady Bunny is not dressing politics at this event.
Right.
She's talking about trans issues. She's talking about issues that impact our community. She's not talking about the 2024 election at our event either.
Right.
And so I just want to bring that to attention, that this is really focused on, our community and the work that we've collectively been doing to support our community. And in a state like Florida, we already have enough to fight against, right? We cannot be fighting each other.
No.
And you said that you've been talking to the Biden administration. Have they been freaking out about Lady Bunny's comment?
No. But, they've been busy. Admittedly, they've been busy. It's been, and I could tell from the
team. So you think they have something more important to do than what Lady Bunny says?
No, I mean, right. This, winning an election, right?
Right.
But, they have been so good, her team, and they've been in constant contact with us, and they were very apologetic that they couldn't make it work, given all the recent change of events and stuff like that. But they've been really good about communicating with us and just really expressing her support for Pridelines. And I'm just shocked, right? I'm just shocked that at that level that Pridelines has been discussed, right? And that we had the secretary here and she was potentially coming, but she sent a letter, right? Like, I'm shocked, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that they're recognizing the challenges that we have here and that they've thrown our support. And I will say this, something recently happened in the HIV/AIDS space where Ready Set Prep, which is a program that the previous administration enacted, that sunsetted, right? That's no longer exists. And I talked to the administration about the impact to our community. They're like, all right, let's get on the call. Let's figure out what we could do. Let's figure out how we can support. That's how responsive they've been to our issues here. And they understand the contentious state that our community is in and is willing to do what they can to help us and to make sure that we're able to support and serve our community. Ready, Set, Prep has allowed so many people who don't have health insurance get PrEP, right? Free access to PrEP. And that program doesn't exist. And the Biden administration is working on it. And Harris is a part of this, right? So we've been working really intently with them, and they've been great. I can't say better things about the response that we've gotten from them and directly her people that's directly in her office.
You have to get that letter framed.
We will. We
Put
will.
in a place of honor.
Nice little shadow box. Thank you for what you do, and that's our responsibility as a community, is to support organizations like Pridelines that are being our voice, because our individual voices don't necessarily get heard on that level, but an organization such as what you've got going on really does make an impact. So thank you so much.
Thanks. We're trying our best, and I appreciate being here. I'm sorry to be so passionate, but it's
Never apologize for passion.
No.
It's just been a part of, this has been like a little crazy, to be honest with you. And I honestly, the personal attack against me, I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Like, my big thing here is that, come on, really, did it have to go to that level where you're personally threatening my career and my life? And I'm just like, come on, guys. We don't have to go there. Let's agree to disagree. Let's have debates. I will always listen, right? I believe in that, in listening, and I'm one who listens, and I change, I evolve, right? And I talked about that on this show about Tim Walz recently last week, how I evolved on him, because I listened and I did more research, right? So I'm a very open person. So if people want to talk about this, right, contact me. You know where to find me. A lot of you got my number because you guys have been calling and texting all week. And I should say, this is ironic, right? This whole thing about Lady Bunny, because I have a message, right, where we have people who have been calling our office against me because of my support for Harris. So that's the irony of this, right? So on one hand, I have people wanting to cancel us because of our support of Lady Bunny and the fact that she's critiqued Harris. But then I have people calling Pridelines. I have a recording on my phone right now. My team sent it to me, where people are like, why do you guys have Edward Summers here? He supports Kamala Harris. What the hell is his problem? And he's a leader of your so it's kind of crazy, right?
Wow.
My God. But this is personal.
Well, Dr. Summers, I want to thank you for joining us on Queer News tonight. I know I will see you this Saturday, so I'm looking forward to it. So.
It's going to be a good old gay fun.
Yes.
Good old gala. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you.